So we've got an interesting thing going on in the Pokemon TCG meta, and that is the overarching amount of people using Dragapult EX in their decks. And it can be a bit overwhelming, and we're seeing it a lot at the challenge level, the local level. A lot of your competitors will most likely have a Dragapult deck. So I've been super curious about decks that are made to combat that type of deck. The main one we're seeing right now is the Gardevior Lily's Clefairy deck, which I also want to try out. But in today's video, I'm going to try out the Buffalant Terapagos EX deck. It caught my attention and I'm excited to play with it. So let's jump into TCG Live and we'll test it out. So actually, before we jump into TCG Live, I'm going to jump into Limitless TCG and we can check out the other decks currently in play in the current meta. And excuse the mess behind me, I'm working on organizing my bulk. I just got some new binders, but as we can see, the number one deck being used right now is Dragapult with different variations, some using the Dusknoir, some using the Charizard EX, but regardless, the Dragapult EX is an incredibly strong card. If you're not familiar, Dragapult has a move, Phantom Dive, where you do 200 damage and also 60 damage to an opponent's benched Pokemon. So you can almost get 3 prizes in one turn if you have a Pokemon on your bench that is 60 health or below. And it can make it really hard if you aren't set up properly to catch up if the opponent already has a Dragapult in play. And then if you combine that with Crispin, you can get the fire and the psychic energy in one turn, and they can attack pretty quickly. So it's a tough deck to play against, and especially when a lot of them are combining that with the Dusknoir, which is another Snipe Pokemon, where the Dusknoir gets KO'd, but it does damage to any of your opponent's Pokemon. You can just stack that damage all in one turn, and you're getting some pretty fast KOs and wins. Now, I've tried this deck. It's super fun, and it's super easy to learn. It's great for beginners, and it's very, very strong. There's not too much thought that needs to go into it. So we're seeing decks like Gardevior. We thought Gardevior may have gone to the wayside after the last rotation, but we saw Henry Chow actually take first in the Atlanta Regionals. And with the Gardevior deck, you're partnering Gardevior, Munkidori, Lily's Clefairy, and Fezandipiti, which Fezandipiti is pretty much in every deck nowadays, but especially the Lily's Clefairy, which actually has a move, or an ability, sorry. The weakness of your opponent's dragon Pokemon in play is now Psychic. And so Dragapult is a dragon Pokemon, and so this Lily's Clefairy can have a pretty easy time KOing a Dragapult if you have a lot of Pokemon on your bench. And Lily's Clefairy, the move does increase damage based on the amount of bench Pokemon each player has, which is why I was curious about the Terapagos deck, which is what we're going to look into today. So Terapagos is a Terra Pokemon, and if you combine that with the Stadium Area 0 Underdepth, if you have a Terra Pokemon in play, you can have up to 8 Pokemon on your bench. So the more Pokemon on your bench, the higher damage Lily's Clefairy does, and the easier chance you'll have to one-hit KO the Dragapults. Now, the thing about the Terapagos deck is there's a lot of basic Pokemon. Actually, other than the Noctowl, they're all basic Pokemon, meaning they have less health and some of their damages are a bit lower. So what we do with this Terapagos deck is we have Terapagos as our main attacker, but as you can see, 230 damage. One attack from Phantom Dive does 200, so that's a 2-hit KO. So we are pairing the Buffalant, which if you have 2 Buffalants in play, your basics colorless Pokemon takes 60 less damage. So that's basically adding 60 damage to your Terapagos. Pair that with the Bravery Charm, which is 50, and your Terapagos is now, 330? 340. So just with those two things in play, your Terapagos can have from 230 to 340 HP, which is huge. Now, you may be wondering about the Noctowls. So the Noctowls, if you have a Terra Pokemon in play and you evolve Hoot Hoot into a Noctowl, you can choose up to 2 trainer cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So it's a great draw engine and a good quick way to get your boss's orders, your Crispins, anything you need real quick. And I think it's a great addition, the Noctowl with the Terapagos, plus the Buffalant. It's a very strong combo. So we're going to play with that today and see what it's all cracked up. We'll see if it's all that it's cracked up to be. Cool, now we're in. So I've already built the deck in here. I named it Beefy Turtle. I know there's a mainstream name for this type of deck, but I cannot remember what it is. But I like Beefy Turtle, so we're going to go with it. Alrighty, so let's jump in here into a match. I filmed another match, but I had about 7 misplays in the first 2 minutes, and so I'm just going to restart this. I had a couple misplays just because I don't know the deck that much. So Noctowl you can only use if you have a Terra Pokemon in play, which I did not. And I also misused the Latias with a Pokemon that was in my hand and not on my bench. So moving on, we will try again and hopefully do better this round. I will go first. That's unfortunate, but it doesn't really matter because the Terapagos, which we're going to use as our main attacker, this is excellent. This is about as good of a start as you can get. We really want the Fan Rotom and the Ditto, and we happen to get both. So we're done, and we are going to shoot the Mamoswine. So what we're going to do is Fan Call, and we are going to get a Buffalant and the Noctowl. Let's go ahead and put these here. The problem is to use Buffalant's ability, you need 2. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to use a Terapagos, I think. Yes. We'll use the Nest Ball to get the other things we need, so the Latias. There we go. And then we are going to use another Nest Ball to get another Latias. Or, sorry, another Buffalant, so we can use its ability. So now all damage will be 1 less. It's unfortunate that we do not have any... Actually, I don't need Fan Call anymore, so I think I'm going to retreat and put the Fan Rotom on front because we don't really need him. You can only use it first play. So that was an excellent first round. That was about as good of a setup as you can get. Let me go back to the deck list. I still have the Terapagos pulled up. But yeah, just as a recap, the Buffalant, you need 2 of them in play. Okay, that is okay because... Oh, the Noctowl! Dude, I was playing someone yesterday. Oh, that's crazy unfortunate. I was playing someone yesterday. Every single turn, he hit Iono on me, and I was using a Terrabox. And Terrabox are really susceptible to disruption. And so, man, it was so freaking annoying and disruptive. Oh, that's annoying. We're going to Crispin just to get the Terapagos ready. Have it ready to attack next round. Actually, I can have it attack this round. I'll put Terapago up front. Yeah, that's really good. That was a quick setup and attack for him. So 1 prize, please be something good. I'll never complain about pulling energy. No! We were doing so good! That's fine. We'll try again. We'll do another round. That was quick. I'm really liking this deck so far, especially since we got a good setup. I don't know how hard it'll be if you don't have a good setup. Sweet, new letter rank. I think this deck will be similar to a Terra box where it'll be easily disrupted if you can't properly set up in the beginning. I've got a cup coming up at my local league. I may practice with this and take it there. Because I already know at the cup a lot of people are going to come with Dragapults. And so if I can figure out a good deck to successfully combat a Dragapult deck, I think it'd be worth looking into. Alright, they're going to go first. That's perfect. Oh, this is huge. What are the odds? Twice in a row. This is massive. A Hoot Hoot and a Noctowl. And the Bravery Charm. Dude, this is freaking huge. Alright, it's my turn now. And I'm going to skip over all that he did. Let's see. We are going to Transformative Start into... I think I'm going to get a Fan Rotom. I think that would be the most effective. And we're going to use Fan Call for 2 Buffalants and 1 Noctowl. I think that'd be strongest. And then I can use the Ultra Ball for... and then I'm going to get a Terapagos. Which I should... Yep, here they are. I did prize 1 Terapagos, but that's no big deal. We're going to Bravery Charm him, just to beef him up. And then... Oh, man. I don't know. Should I Iono? I think I'll do this. Should I Iono? I have a Noctowl. I don't think I'm going to Iono. I think I'll leave it at that and end my turn. Okay. So he used an attack and did 60 damage. No big deal. We are going to grab this. Night Stretcher. We're going to grab this. Should I grab? I'm going to grab the energy just so I can set him up already. Perfect. And we're going to use the Noctowl. We are going to get the Stadium. And let's see, what do I want? I want the Stadium. I'm going to grab the Stadium and the Nest Ball because I think it'll be good to have obviously more Pokemon on the bench, but also a... Hold on. I have 2 Buffalants already. No, I'll do the Latios. Perfect. That way I have no retreat cost. I'm going to use this Stadium. Get more spots. No! That's twice, man. So those were 2 interesting matches, but you got to get a good idea of how easy it is to set up the board. And I realized as I played a few rounds after that were off camera, it is really easy to get your pieces in place and set up the board effectively with like the Ditto, the Fan Rotom, all that kind of stuff. And so I really like the setup ability. I'm still learning how to utilize which Pokemon for which scenario. So most all scenarios I was able to easily handle with Terapagos. Goldingo was a bit difficult, but Dragapult was about a 50-50. So I think when you're facing Dragapult decks, it is key not to use the Terapagos, but instead Lily's Clefairy. So the problem with the way the deck is now, Lily's Clefairy isn't really set up to be a heavy hitter. It's like 1 and then it's going to get KO'd. So I think I need to do Lily's Pearl. Maybe... So Lily's Pearl doesn't add HP, but it does decrease the amount of prizes. So I need to weigh the balance of Lily's Pearl and maybe a Bravery Charm. But whenever I was able to set up Lily's, the Dragapult matches were a bit more manageable. But since there's only 1 in the deck, whenever I faced the Dragapult and Lily's Clefairy was either prized or I wasn't able to get it out quickly, they would just plow through my Terapagos too quickly. So I think it's a decent deck that is pretty capable of handling most opponents. I didn't go against any Iron Hands. I'm interested to see about that, since Iron Hands can get 3 prizes from your Terapagos. It could be over real quick. But for the most part, other than Goldingo, which Goldingo is just a special breed, I need to figure out exactly how to effectively combat that. You just got to be quick, because with those Ace specs, they're able to get all those energies in 1 turn and wipe out pretty much any Pokemon, so it's very difficult. But overall, I really liked this deck, and I think it does need some tweaking. I'm going to play with some of the items to more effectively set up my board mid-game. But overall, I think early game, it's really strong. Mid-game, it can falter. It's easily susceptible to disruption. And so if they either unfair stamp you or Iono, you could have all the cards in your hand that you need, but then like you lose them and it's susceptible to disruption. So mid-game is a bit difficult. You need to really win quickly up front. And then later game is okay with Blood Moon Ursaluna. But yeah, you gotta really know what you're doing with this deck, and you really gotta attack fast. But yeah, it's pretty good. I think I'll keep playing with it. And we'll see how I do in local challenges.